Good day, everyone. In this video, I will share something that makes us become a better learners, and that is metacognition. We will also talk about the components, elements, and processes of metacognition. And the last thing we will talk is all about metacognitive teaching strategies. And now, let's move on to metacognition. Metacognition is the knowledge concerning one's cognitive processes and products of anything related to them. The learning relevant properties of information and data, according to Revel 1976. So, this means that thinking about your own thinking. So, it's when you ask yourself, what parts do I need to learn? Or what parts nga kaibaw nako? So that is metacognition. Let's say, for example, before ka mag-study, you ask yourself, what part do I understand or what part nga kanang naglisod ko? So that is metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. And metacognition has two components, which is the metacognitive knowledge and regulation and control. So now let's talk first about metacognitive knowledge. So this is what individuals know about their cognition or cognition in general. So this means that this is what you know about your own learning. So mao ni ang imong nahibaw-an. And it has three elements, which is the declarative knowledge, procedural knowledge, and conditional knowledge. Now, let's talk about the declarative knowledge. It is knowing what you know. So, hibaw-on nimo ang imong nahibaw-an. So, let's say, for example, I know that I learn better by writing notes. So, hibaw ka nga, kanang mas maka-learn ka o better kung mag-take down notes ka. So, that is knowing what you know. Hibaw ka, na mas maka-learn ka kung mag-take down notes ka. So, that is declarative knowledge. And now, let's move on to procedural knowledge. So, when we say procedural knowledge, it is knowing how to do things. So, hibaw ka how to do things. Let's say, for example, I know how to make mind map to review. So, hibaw ka unsa ang pagbuhat og mind map para maka-review ka. So, that is procedural knowledge. You know how to do things. Diba dito sa example, hibaw siya mobuhat og mind map para maka-review. So, in that case, hibaw ka how to do things. So, mauna ang procedural knowledge. And now, let's move on to conditional knowledge, the last element of metacognitive knowledge. So, when we say conditional knowledge, it is the combination of the two. It is knowing when and why to use certain strategies. Diba? So, let's say, for example, I know I should use flashcards when I need to memorize new words. So, ang kaybaw dito, in that scenario, kaybaw ka kanus ug nganong mogamit ka og strategies in order for you to learn. So, in that statement nga, I know I should use flashcards. So, kaybaw ka unsay imong buhaton. To, when I need to memorize new words. So, kaybaw ka kanus-a. Kung ginahanglan ka mga mag-memorize o new words, ang strategy nga imong gamiton is flashcards. So, that is conditional knowledge. Knowing when and why to use certain strategies. And now, let's move on to the other components of metacognition, which is the regulation and control. So this means that pertains to their ability to keep track of and assess their knowledge of learning. So this is how you manage your learning. From the word manage, now na ang planning, monitoring, and evaluating. So these are the three processes of regulation and control. And now let's talk about planning. So when we say planning, it is deciding what and how to study. So what and how to study. So mag-decide ka nga unsa o unsaon nimo pag-study. So let's say for example, magtuon sa ko og una sa math kay mas lisod ni para nako. Then ako ada yung buhaton ng English later. So that is planning. Deciding what and how you study. So sa kada pala nga maglisod ko sa math kanang mo take time jud ni. So ang imong buhaton maoy imong unahon para ini humani mo sa math, proceed na ka sa English which is okayhan ka, kamao ka. So, that is planning. Na i-organize nimo kung unsay dapat unahon, unsay iawit. And that is planning. Next is monitoring. It is checking yourself while you are studying. So, checking yourself while you are studying. Let's say for example, nakasabot ba jud kaha ko? Or, basahon pa ba na kog balik? So that is monitoring, checking yourself while you are studying. O nag-check man ka, nag-monitor man ka na si mo kagalingon, umuha na ka ma. Nakasabot ba jud ka ako sa gidiscuss ni ma'am? Nakasabot ba jud ka ako sa akong gibasa? Or basahon pa na kog balik? So that is monitoring. You are checking yourself while you are studying. Dili kay magsige lang ka og padayon, and then ang ending nag-acquire ka og knowledge, dinang wala day nimo gi-retain. So that is monitoring. And lastly, the evaluating. So this is thinking how well your study plan work. So evaluating kanang diri na ka makahibaw kung kanang ang imong study plan ka effective ba siya, kung gi-work ba siya. Let's say for example kanang was making a summary helpful. So kani ang imong giuna-una nga study plan is a summary. So ighuman nimo og tuon sa tanan, magbuhat ka og summary. So in that case, does writing summary helpful? So imong i-evaluate imong kagalingon nga. Nakatuon ba ko kana by writing summary? Dili ba siya kanang sayang lang sa oras? So that is evaluating. Dapat ang imuhang study plan effective. So another example kana. For example kana wala ni fit nimo ang writing a summary. So maguna-una ka nga need pa ba nako mo try og lain? So that is evaluating. Kana knowing kung effective ba ang imuhang study plan or ni work ba ang imuhang study plan. And that's all about regulation and control. And now let's move on to part 2, which is the metacognitive teaching strategies. So when we say metacognitive teaching strategies, it is the strategies that teachers use for the students to learn. And we have number 1, think aloud. So this means helps learners to think aloud about their thinking as they undertake a task. So this means that the teacher or even the students say their thoughts out loud. Kanang kung magbasa ba sila or mag-solve ba sila of problems. From the word itself, aloud, which means di lang kanila i-keep ang ilang thoughts sa ilang mind. Ila yung isulti. So let's say for example, na ay teacher nga nagbasa og paragraph and niana siya nga wala man ko kahibaw ani nga word, maybe makaguess ko sa meaning ani sa next sentence. So in that case, this shows the students how they think, not just what they think. So mo na ang rule sa teacher, i-nurture og maayo ang knowledge sa mga students. So dili lang kay kung unsa ang ilahang una-unaon, kundili apil na kung unsaon nila pag-una-una, and that matters. Next is journalizing. It is the learners write what was in that mind when they selected an answer and the reasons for their choice. So when we say journalizing, students keep a journal or book. Then ato nila i-write about kung unsa ilahang ni-learn, unsa ang ilang gilusuran, and unsay makatabang nila para maka-understand. So journalizing, from the word itself, journalizing, you are writing. So let's say for example, nagsuwat baron ang estudyante nga, today I learned about passive voice. It was confusing at first, but chart helped me. But drawing a chart helped me. So that is example of journalizing. This helps students reflect on their learning process. So, di ba? Nasuwat nila dito nga, nakatuon na siya sa passive voice, pero at first, kaya naglisod siya. Pero with the help of drawing a chart, nakatuon na siya. And that is journalizing. And now, let's move on to error analysis. So, it's a systematic approach for using feedback metacognitively to improve one's future performance. So, from the word error analysis, i-analyze nimo ang imong sayop as a student. So, let's say for example, kanang itan-awon baron sa mga students ang ilang sayop and i-analyze nila nganong kana ang ilahang na answer and unsa ang ilang buhaton para ma-avoid ni. So, let's say for example, after a quiz, niya ang teacher nga kanang i-check ninyo ang inyong mga answer niya, isuwat ninyo nganong nasayop mo ana. So, mo ana baron ang bata nga, I forgot to change the verb form. So, yung na ba, naa ba siya nalimtan, or wala ba siya katuon? So, that is error analysis. Tanawon sa students kung asa sila nasayop, and then, unsaon nila para ma-avoid ni next time. So, that is error analysis. And now, let's move on to the second to the last, which is the wrapper. Is an activity that fosters learners' metacognition before, during, and after class. So, wrapper meaning short activities. So, mga short activities done before, during, or after the class. So, para ma-help some students i-reflect ang ilahang learning. So, let's say for example, before a quiz, moana baron ang student, moana ba karon nga kanang unsa nga part ang lisod. Dayon, after the quiz, moana ba din ka nga lisod ba jud ay ito. So, in that case, kani kay makatabang sa students to become aware of why and of what they know and what do they know. So, para ma-aware ang students nga kanang unsa ang ilang nahibaw-an, unsa pa ang wala nila nahibaw-an, mao ni nga strategy wrapper. Diba? Which is during, before, and after. So, sa during, nakahanap pa ang bata nga lisod. So, pag after maana na ka nga, ay, sayon ramda ito. So, maana jud ka nga, kanang, question baro nimo sila nga, was that really hard? Oh, di ba? Then, mauna ang wrapper. And lastly, we'll talk about the peer monitoring. It is a proven metacognitive strategy as many learners learn best when studying with peers who are more informed and skilled than them. So, that is peer monitoring. From the word peer, it's friends. So, these students help each other by explaining ideas or sharing strategies. So, diri, peer monitoring as a student nga kanang best learner niya is kanang when he or she is studying with his peers or her peers, mao ni ang iyaha peer monitoring. Kay let's say for example kanang naabaroy student nakahibaw siya sa about sa passive voice, and then na siya mga classmate nga wala kahibaw sa passive voice. So, in that case, iyang gi-explain na iyang mga classmates, iyang iya pong gituluan kung unsay dapat buhaton para dili ni malimtan. So that is peer monitoring, helping each other for the students to become better learners. So that is the 5 metacognitive teaching strategies. So that's all about metacognition. We learned that metacognition is about thinking about your own thinking, and it has two parts, which is the metacognitive knowledge and regulation and control. Metacognitive knowledge, knowing what, why, and how you learn, while regulation and control is all about planning, monitoring, and evaluating. So keep on practicing metacognition for you to become an independent and successful learners. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this helps you learn with your studies. Thank you.